for the next speaker, we'll have Kenneth Jakobsen. He's member of the ELT at Salesforce EMEA, and he's a Chief Customer Officer of EMEA Europe. So please welcome Kenneth.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, thank you so much. And by the way, I really like the Slack workflow that you just demoed. It looks cool. Yeah, approved. Yeah, it's very good. So I'm very delighted to be here. I am Danish by origin, and I just told a friend of mine from IBM over here that I could not envision 20 years ago when I left for the US that I would be back in this building in front of these statues speaking about AI. I don't think anybody would have believed that. But here we are, and I'm super happy to be here. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what does it mean when we want to deploy products and build products in a trusted way. And I think trust is the key word. I think that's the common denominator. And I'm so happy to see that even companies that sometimes are my competitors, we are very aligned on AI, which I think is phenomenal because the regulatory environment is still not quite there yet. It's developing very fast, but it's great that we can self-govern this until we have better frameworks out there. So really cool to see. We will still compete though after this event today. So I just wanted to show this slide. This is what we were spending 30 minutes on, just joking. This is really my American legal department trying to tell you in a few words that Ken might be speaking about future functionality in AI that we don't have on the shelf yet today, so you should base your buying decisions on what is on the shelf. So that's what that says. Maybe ChatGPT could make that shorter. So as Jonathan said, my role at Salesforce, I have the utmost pleasure of leading our industries. So it's 12 different industries across EMEA, and I also lead our top 250 account program. And I will do some perspectives on what I'm hearing from these customers, in particular the C-level of these amazing companies. Some of them are in the room today. We just had our Dreamforce event. So Dreamforce is an annual event. It's the largest software conference in the world. And this year we changed it to be 100% focused on AI. So we had 45,000 people 3 weeks ago. I did not have the time to go to all of the events, but the 14 C-levels that I met over 2 days, literally 13 of them, I asked them the same questions. One question I had, what's the number one thing you're taking away from Dreamforce this year? And they all, except for one, we did talk about AI later, but they didn't come out as the first thing. 13 of them basically told me, it's data and AI. How can I get started with data and AI in a safe way? Are you the right partner? Or is it somebody else that I should be partnering with? Should I build it myself? Or what should I do? Should I go with multiple partners? And the simple answer is, I don't have that answer. But obviously, we would love to partner with all these customers on that journey. And that's why we've also been busy building. So we've heard some statements today. This is changing every industry. And it really is. But it's changing every industry at a different pace. Right? So healthcare, there's already been lots of development there. And we know about IBM Watson. They've been working on this stuff for a very long time. So it's not anything new. But generative AI is fundamentally accelerating how these industries think about what are the productivity gains we can get, what are some of the cost savings we can also get in many areas, and then how can we accelerate our sales? How can we build products faster? So this is literally impacting all industries, just different pace by industry. And there's tons of opportunity, right? So, for instance, McKinsey says 84% of your customer service it'll go faster. You can serve your customers better. There will be 64% more jobs, but different types of jobs. And my favorite one on this slide is the 30% productivity gain. Because this really should mean that we only have to work Monday through Thursday, right? So we can all take off on Fridays, and now digital assistant can get the work done every Friday. But look, 3 or 4 industries, 3 or 4 companies believe that they will be working on AI projects by 2027. And I think, I mean, maybe these are slower adopters, but I actually think every single industry will be working on this by 2027. And I mean, that's also what we're seeing. So there's huge opportunity, but there's also these risks, right? So we've heard a lot of them today, right? The companies struggle with one of the things they struggle with is, oh, wow, my employees now have access to ChatGPT or to Bard. And then they literally start getting creative. They might say, well, I have these sales emails, and I mean, I don't really feel like writing them myself. Why don't I just put them into ChatGPT? And the thing spits something out, and yes, that's great. You copy that, you send it to your client. Even worse than that, they start taking really sensitive IP and do the same thing. And stuff like that has been leaked. So there's risk all over this thing, right? So that's why it's so amazing to see that somebody, competitors of mine, we are super aligned on that we need to manage this risk very, very carefully. And we are pro-government in this area, right? So what I really like about the EU Act, is that it's not just focused on generative AI, it's really focused on the next phases, because generative AI is just the second phase. What's really the complicated phase is when this thing gets really autonomous, when you don't have the human in the loop. That's when things get a little bit more scary, in my opinion. So it's delightful to see that the governments are focusing on not just solving the problem that's there today, but also how can we safeguard our children, to be honest, 5 or 10 years from now. So, now this thing is not moving. So there's really this trust gap, and this is why I'm saying what I've heard today is this is all about trust, right? It's trust with, how do we build these things to our own employees? It's trust to our stakeholders like customers and investors, and it's really trust to children. I mean, I'm consistently super worried about, hey, my wife uploads my son on Facebook. Is that safe? I don't know, but I just don't feel comfortable with it. So you're beginning to really question yourself, what is the trust around all this like facial recognition? You don't have to show your boarding pass when you board a flight. Hey, how do they know my facial image? Right? This stuff is kind of scary. But for enterprises, it's also a huge opportunity. So CEOs, this is their number one priority. There's actually some new data out there that already suggests that AI is the highest spend of all categories now. And this has gone extremely fast. It started early this year, and now it's already the number one. So they spend more on AI than they do on like data in the old days. The problem is the data, though. So just because you have AI or generative AI, you still have islands of data, right? You have lots of CRM data in Salesforce or in Microsoft. You have your ERP data in SAP. You might have some transactional data in your mainframes. Now, did that data get cleaner just because we got AI? No, it's the same data. So AI is only as good as the data is clean. I mean, if you don't have clean data, you can have all the greatest models in the world, it doesn't matter, right? So you got to sort, these islands of data. And consumers just don't trust the data is out there, is giving them the right answer. So they're very worried about this. We talked about these LLMs. I mean, by now you guys probably know what LLMs mean, right? You can build your own. There's some out in the market. We built some. SAP builds some. IBM builds a lot of them. Which ones are the right LLMs? This is complicated. So you want to really be critical of and look at what are these LLMs, what are they doing with my data, right? And these hallucinations that they talk about, bias, toxicity, all of those things should be critical words that you take away from here today and start having an opinion upon, because this is really the important stuff. So how do we build really products and trusted AI? And I want to give you our perspective. I don't want this to be a sales pitch. So if I start pitching you, it's because I'm biased. But this is really, it's not a sales pitch today. It's just about, let's get each other educated, because we're also learning. But we are a company that was founded in 1999, and I'm standing in Denmark today. In 1999, we had an idea that CRM should sit in the cloud. This is almost 10 years before there was something called Amazon Web Services. It's basically 10 years before there was anything called Azure. Okay? And you're now telling lots of customers, hey, by the way, you should take all your sales data, all your marketing data, and you should put it into our cloud. I mean, not a lot of people, they looked at, Mark, they looked at him and said, are you crazy? And now the graph on the right side, that's a nice graph, right? It's kind of I call it a bragging graph. But you don't just go to getting 23% of the CRM market by having the best products. You do that by customers trusting you. And you need to build that trust over a long, sustained period of time. And for us, that was critical. Our number one value is trust. So when you look at AI, it's the same principles we use. Okay, now we're going into AI. How do we convince customers to take their data and put it into our cloud? Right? They were really concerned about that. Now we apply those same principles of trust to AI. We want to build AI that is trusted. So we founded in 2014 a research team. We hired one of the leading Stanford professors, and there was an AI research team. And you're like, well, AI was not here in 2014. Yes, there was AI in 2014. It was just predictive AI. This thing evolved, right? So we built a product called Einstein. It does over 2 billion calculations a week, right? So, I mean, this has gotten really big. This is mostly predictive AI. And then this thing really took off in early 2023. I remember sitting in San Francisco at our leadership meeting in February, not a single word of ChatGPT. I came back in May for the next quarter meeting. We had 32 demos of GPT enabled into our products. I was like spinning when I walked out of there. It was absolutely astounding how fast this thing has gotten. What keeps us honest here is what we did in 2018. We created what we call Office of Ethical and Humane Use. And this is not just for AI. How do I know that works? Well, I had a $100 million deal with a certain communications company, and they shut the deal down because they didn't believe that the use cases this telco had was ethical. We couldn't do the deal. So that, I mean, is, some of you might be in sales. That's not a good message to get, but it was the right message. This is what they're there for, and now they govern how we build our AI. So this is just the journey we've been on. And I want to hire the guy from IBM because I think he had 70 patents by himself. We only have 300. So we got to speed up. So anyway, so what you really want to do when you think about building products, you don't want them to take their marketing and sales data, going out to OpenAI and then put it in there. You want to get those LLMs into the workflow. You want to get them embedded into the workflow. And these are just some of the use cases that are out there. There's tons and tons of use cases. By far the most use cases are in service, in sales, and a lot of them are in marketing, and then I would say in software engineering. And then it starts trickling down from there. But those are the three really amazing areas for these type of technologies, in my view. I'm not going to go into detail. Happy to share this as well with you. So how can we reap the benefits of generative AI while we maintain the trust? So we started similar to what I also heard from SAP, so I won't belabor the point, but we started with these responsible GAI guidelines, which came out of our Office of Ethical and Humane Use. And maybe one thing I just want to double click on, as a company, we believe we're not quite there yet on autonomous. So we will check for if there's a human in the loop. I'll show you a video of what that means. But we do not want this AI to just go crazy on its own, to use layman's terms. So that's really important. That's what's in the fourth bullet, HITL, human in the loop. Sustainability, I think, is something I'm really happy to hear some of my colleagues talking about that, because this is not about having the largest LLM. It's about having the right LLM for the right job. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a big model to solve a good problem. But it's almost as if this become like, oh yeah, my LLM handles all this data. Yeah, but how much compute does that use, and how much does that actually pollute? So you really want to be very critical of anybody that tries to tell you, oh, my model, this and that, right? So not one size fits all here. And we talked about accuracy, safety, so I'll move on from here. So the way we actually do this, so this is a snapshot of what is our Einstein 1 platform. So on the bottom layer, you have what we call Hyperforce. It's not in this picture. But our Hyperforce basically means all the things my colleague from SAP showed you around BaFin, German regulation. This thing is built like data residency in certain European countries. It sits on the bottom. And then on top of that, you have your sort of compute and data layer, and then you have this trust layer now. And this trust layer basically say, great, you have your CRM apps, you can pull data in with prompt engineering, right? If you want to make a lot of money these days, you should polish your resume and call yourself a prompt engineer. That's the new data scientist. So then you can make money. If you're good at writing prompts, that's generative AI in a nutshell. You then pull the data in, and that can be your company data. It can be any type of transactional data you have, whatever, any data you want to pull in. We ground that data, right? That's to avoid the hallucinations. You mask the data if there's PII data. You can say, well, we don't really want to take a copy of that data. Let's say you have your data in Azure and Google. We don't need to take a copy. We can just take zero retention of it. And that means you don't have to pay dual storage costs. This is kind of technical. The bottom line here is we've thought through, and I think I saw SAP, they call it something else. So I'm actually not trying to say we found something here that's super unique. But I love the fact that this is now built into the product. So we put our money where our mouth is. It's not just, yeah, we have some things moving over here. No, it's literally being built into the product. And that's what I think is all about the trust. So there's also the other things. I don't think we talked about this, but citations, right? You make it very clear in the product when you use GPT or other types of things within AI, right? You say, well, this is actually generated by AI, and here's the articles that we use for that, right? It's not Wikipedia, it was this newspaper or this research article. You disclose when you are using those technologies. You do the containment, and then you do intentional design. That's too much detail, but I think these things are really important, right? So technology is really not inherently good or bad. It's what you do with it that matters, right? You also heard that from the others, right? There's just so much negative stuff you can do with generative AI, so you want to be all over this, right? So, that's what we try to do. So I want to show you a customer example. So we started working with Gucci about, I would say, 18 months ago. This was before there was any ChatGPT, but they really wanted to enhance their customer service experience. So think about it, right? If you go and buy a Gucci bag, it's a couple $1,000s. Something might be wrong with it, or you got the wrong one, you call their call center. And they felt like the agents were not giving the customers that called in sort of the right tone of voice. They were not sort of selling them or servicing them in the right way. And they were also not, cross-selling them with other things. So we started with our research team working with them. And there's a video. Put on your Danish glasses now and think a little bit less about the marketing messages of Salesforce and look at what the customer service agent is doing, because she's the hero in this picture, not the CEO of Gucci. But our marketing team obviously liked to get him in the video. But this is about the human in the loop. It's about that this thing is, it doesn't just always just spit out the right answer. You have to keep iterating. You have to keep training the models. And this was not really there when we started, right? And then these technologies came out, and now we have a 99.5 accuracy rate. So let me just play the video. Great. So when deploying AI, and this is, I only have 2 more slides, so I just wanted to focus on this one for a second, because I think we talk a lot about the technology, but what we really should be talking about once we understand the technology is these are typically pretty large transformation and cultural changes. So that means when you talk culture, that means you have people in the mix. And I think this is where this conversation needs to flow over to. Right now we're getting educated on what does it mean, what are these LLMs? I need my data clean, right? That hasn't changed. But then how have we successfully delivered cultural business transformation projects? And I think this is a huge cultural and business transformation. So if you want to dive into your historical successful projects, you want to copy some of those things. I have a 50-slide deck behind this, so if you're interested in reading more about this, just ping me and I'll share it with you. But I think this is really important. So the 5X we have on starting your AI journey is plan it, right? It's okay to be skeptical. I'm super skeptical myself, but this innovation moves incredibly fast. And it's one thing is for sure, if you don't get on the bus, your competitors might go a little faster than you, right? And then I would say, I would start small. Even with large vendors like myself, it's important to say, great, what are the 2 or 3 use cases in service, sales, maybe it's in engineering or something. But don't try to boil the ocean, because you want to learn from those projects, pilots and so forth. And then you want to find partners you can trust, and I think you met a few of those today. So it doesn't mean you should pick any of us, but I mean, I think it's really, really important to find somebody you can team with and not try to do this all by yourself, because this thing moves very fast. I mean, I can't even develop training fast enough for 20 or actually 30,000 sales reps, because it changes so fast that when we get the training developed, it's outdated. This is how fast it moves. And then prepare your employees for this change and structure your organization appropriately. Right now we all have, in large companies, chief data scientists, blah, blah, blah. What does that look like now with AI, right? And I like what I heard about boards and employee boards and outside boards. I think that's really smart. And then you want to really hammer down on safeguarding your company. If you don't create policies and so forth around this, your employees will literally get creative. And I mean, we've all seen the headlines with Samsung and others. This can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. So it's really important to get on top of that. So that would be my 5 top recommendations. I probably would have made it 7 have I listened to these 2 speeches before I did my presentation. But this is 5 good, I think, sort of rules of thumb, from at least from what we're seeing. So that's it. Thank you very much, and good luck on your journey.
Thank you, Kenneth.